Please take your seats. That was Mark, yeah. Mark. Okay. Let's get started, people. Let's get started. I want to welcome the Democrats here, all the Democrats. I'm Charles Osterly, President of the Democratic Club of Boca Delray Beach. Time to listen. If you aren't good, you'll be in trouble. You know, we've been through quite a ride during the last 2 years. While we've encountered many defeats, we must not be defeated. It is great to welcome you all to this year's luncheon and celebrate the country we live in and our community of Democrats. In the words of Dr. Mae Johnson, the first African-American female astronaut, she said, "Never be limited by other people's limited imagination." It is through our efforts to educate and register voters that we can increase participation both in person and by mail. Democracy is not self-executing. We have to be active and participate as citizens. Remember, in 388 days, we have an opportunity to keep this country moving forward. No matter how you choose to participate, whether by registering voters, encouraging to vote by mail, driving people to the polls, phone banking, knocking on doors, or posting on social media and letters to the editor. It must be directed towards electing Democrats. The record Democratic vote of the last election must be surpassed this coming November. I have to say, you really have to work hard to manage a task faced with more obstacles and challenges than organizing and staging this election. And I want to thank especially Linda Rosenthal and her committee. And I did not have something to give them, but I'll forego that so we can get started. Also, I want to congratulate and thank all the committed Democrats that we have here through this club and through Palm Beach County. Our advertisers have supported this club, and we want to thank you very much for that. Terrific. Finally, I want to congratulate Dr. Mindy Pope, who is the recipient of the Maya Golden Award for the service she has given to the leadership, and hope she is a beacon for all of us. Time is right. Thank you. Now, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with truth and justice for all. Thank you. And I think we're getting ready to go. Without further ado, I want Dave Aronberg to come up and he can introduce the speaker.
All right.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, good afternoon, Democrats. Good afternoon, Democrats. You know this is an important group. You know how you know that? You know how you know because you have not one, but two Democratic candidates for governor right here with us today. And we're going to hear from both of them. And I'm going to introduce each one of them very shortly, but this is a very important group. You've got all these politicians coming. And this is still an off-year election, so kudos to all of you for your activism, for your energy, for everything you do. I want to apologize that I was a couple minutes late. I got held up on the way here by Governor DeSantis' strike force. I got pulled over. Governor Crist, how was your strike force? Did you have black shirts? You didn't have one? Okay, I'm sorry.
And never will.
So, it is amazing, though, that the people who love to condemn socialism, sure, do a lot of things that resemble socialism, doesn't it? I mean, they're the ones telling private companies that they can't ask their customers if they've been vaccinated, or they can't force their employees to wear a mask. I mean, they're so caught up on mask mandates. If only they cared about keeping guns out of school, that masks out of school, we'd be a better state. But now they're all about my body, my choice. All right. Hey, that's great. I'm glad they finally caught on my body, my choice. Oh, no, hold on. They're not referring to women's reproductive health, are they? No, my body, my choice when it comes to preventing a worldwide pandemic for vaccinations that work, that are safe. But not when it comes to women's reproductive health. It's going to be up to all of us to call out their hypocrisy. Call out their hypocrisy every day from now until next November. Fortunately, we have some amazing people here today who will help us do that. I want to start with our elected officials who are not running for office. There are a few of them, and then I'm going to bring up our current member of Congress who represents us so well. So, Lois, you're on deck, but let's start around the room. If you are a current elected official who's not on the ballot,
everyone's on the ballot.
Well, there are some of us who are not, like I am. Karen? Oh, you're on the ballot. Okay, how about this? All right, Ellen, say who you are and what you're doing.
Ellen Baker, Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District.
Thank you, Ellen. Andy, are you on the ballot? Andy?
Andy Thompson, City of Boca Delray, City Council.
Andy Thompson, he's still new at this political game. Don't start eating when the MC is about to introduce you, man. All right, any other electeds who are not running?
Right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Steve Engel, Commissioner, Greater Boca Raton Municipal.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Okay, now let's go for candidates, including those who are elected. And we're going to save the gubernatorial candidates for now. I'm going to introduce you at the end of this, and then you get to say something. So let's start with the candidates. Karen Brill, why don't you start?
I'm Karen Brill. I'm the vice chair of the Palm Beach County School Board, running against two anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers.
No one in the history of Palm Beach County has had worse opponents running against them. Well, possibly Lois Frankel. Lois Frankel may have you beat, Karen. At least your opponents never chained themselves to the outside of Twitter's headquarters or got kicked off Uber Eats. Right? She's banned from Uber Eats. Right. But Karen's opponent this time, this is the mother of that child who gained right-wing fame for not wearing a mask, and apparently there's some criminality in their background, right? Okay. Well, here's the other thing. You remember Karen's last opponent 4 years ago? You do. Felicia, you said you remember him? He was a movie star, remember?
Oh, yes. He was a movie star.
Those kind of movies. Yeah. I'm not going to ask how you know that, Felicia, but that was Karen's opponent. So, Karen, you continue to outdo yourself. All right, who else do we have who's running for office? I know we had the county mayor was here. I saw Bob here.
Bob Weinrod, County Mayor, Palm Beach County.
Congratulations.
State Senator Tina Polsky, to this beautiful District 29, and we're all on the ballot in November 22. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I'll be there.
Thank you, Tina. You may have seen Tina on the Howard Stern show. Yeah?
Heard.
What? Oh, heard, right. Well, okay, correct, heard. Thank you for correcting the MC, Tina. I love you no matter what. Hassan.
Hassan, how's District 19 from Florida? How's District 19?
Yes, Hassan, nice to see you. How's District 90? Or anyone else running for office who is not running for governor? Yes, ma'am!
Hi, I'm Lauren Levy. I'm running for House District 89.
Thanks, Lauren. And I know, I think Ken Russell. Ken.
I'm busy, sir. But I'm also running against Marco Rubio.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Thanks for driving up. Okay, we're gonna save the gubernatorial candidate because they're gonna come up and speak. But I wanted to, while we have everyone's attention, thank the person who is most responsible for today. She worked so hard for all of us. She's outstanding. There's no detail that missed her eye. Linda Rosenthal, thank you for what you do. Where are you, Linda? Linda, where are you? By the way, point of personal privilege, Susan Booker is here. Susan, stand up. Oh, stand up. All right, now I want to introduce a speaker because Ted Deutsch, first of all, he was another member of Congress here today. He had to leave early. But the member of Congress who represents most of Palm Beach County, who is my personal member of Congress, who has had the craziest of all opponents, who stands up for our values each and every day in Washington, D.C. She's here to say a few words for us. Let's welcome up to the dais Congresswoman Lois Frankel. Come on up!
Dave, I had no idea who Gary's opponent was. None. Whatsoever. Okay. Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? Let's start with a thank you to Linda. Now everybody knows who to hire for their weddings, bar mitzvahs, and whatever. To our club, all the club presidents, the leadership, thank you for all you do every day. Let's see, yes, I got my list of thank yous. And, oh, of course, Mindy, congratulations. I know you're getting an award today. And you also, I'm giving you the award for the best costume. Okay, but most important, the rest of you, the activists, thank you very, very much. And you know what I want to say? I'm going to I want to leave most of the words to Nikki and Charlie. I think they're here someplace. And just, you know what, folks? We're in this room we're the energy of the party. We got to keep it up because, folks, there's too much at stake. So I want everybody. We're eating well today. We're getting ready for a big fight in the next year and a half. But I wanted to say something about Congress. I'm going to let Nikki and Charlie talk about the governor. Democrats in the Congress are doing what we were elected to do. We did. And so is our president. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Under this president, we passed the American Rescue Package. We put shots in people's arms. We put money in people's pockets so they could survive during this pandemic. And a week ago, Charlie and I, we were at the White House and we witnessed President Biden pass an infrastructure bill that's going to bring billions of dollars here to Florida. Not only fix our roads and our bridges, but put electric charging stations all over the state by expanding broadband so everybody can afford it and have access to it, and by cleaning our water. And folks, there's a lot of places still in this country that does not have clean water. Tomorrow, I'm going to be in Lake Worth where they're going to try to upgrade their water plant. But we have something else in store by the end of the year, and that will be building back better with this president. We are going to lower the costs for all Americans, including the ones right in this room, by lowering your cost for prescription drugs, expanding the Affordable Care Act to everybody here in Florida who wants to take advantage of it, and really taking the stress off of working families with lowering the cost of child care and home care, and something that I think is transformational, and that is universal pre-K education for every 3- and 4-year-old in this country. And then to top it off, and I top things off because I'm a grandmother of these 2 beautiful grandsons, and I want them to grow up and be healthy and have clean air and not have to live constantly with hurricanes and floods and fires. And this is going to be the biggest package to save our climate and fight the carbon in the air that we ever had in this history. So we have really great things that we're doing, and this is no surprise. There's not going to be one Republican that's going to help us do this, including Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, who call themselves our senators. So I'm proud to be in the House with the Democrats. I am so proud of this president, and I want to thank all of you for what we do every day to keep Democrats in office and get us elected. And here's a P.S., Dave. That militia that stopped you, you know, it's really interesting what Ron DeSantis, how he's using all this newfound money. All this newfound money has come from the federal government. Charlie will tell you that much. Money that we have sent to try to help stop the spread of COVID. Anyway, with that said, everybody stay safe. Make sure you get your booster if you haven't had it. What else? Social distance. Okay, we're sitting a little close, but this was a great way we did this today. Today, really, it was a great way we did this. And everybody, have a joyous, joyous holiday season and Happy New Year. And let's make it even happier by electing the Democrats in November. Oh, you using the same thing? Okay, I'm going to go wash my hands. Here we go.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Congressman Lois Frankel. A few people to thank before we bring up our next speaker. These are the folks on the committee who made today happen. Ron, Brittany, stand up and take a bow, Ron. Thank you. The award winner for today, Dr. Mindy Coe. Thank you, Mindy. She is dressed as Vice President Kamala Harris, if you noticed. I mentioned Linda Rosenthal, she's amazing. How about Barbara Schmidt? Barbara! Carol Steinberg. Carol! Where'd she go? Oh, Carol. So humble. Thank you, Carol. All right. And then last but not least, Catherine Steinlick. Where is Catherine? Steinlick. Catherine. Thank you. All right. We have a couple more candidates. I'll ask them to be brief because we have a few more speakers. But I want to ask our commissioner down in Miami, who is running in the Democratic primary for the United States Senate, Ken Russell, come on up and say a few words.
Thank you so much. How's everybody doing? Is it good to be back together? And happy Halloween? I'm a little confused. Sorry. I'm not dressed as a politician. I unfortunately am a politician. I'm a commissioner in the city of Miami where I represent Coconut Grove, Brickell, and downtown. I was just 6 years ago a surfboard salesman who got upset about a contaminated park in front of my house where my 7-year-old, my 9-year-old, and my 19-year-old played, and I got in a fight with the city. And I took them on, and unfortunately I won and had to run for local office. And so I've been serving the city of Miami for 6 years now, working on everything from affordable housing, water quality, social justice, police oversight, all the things our federal government is supposed to be taking care of, but I've been finding ways to do it at the local level. But I really have to thank you, Congresswoman, and everyone in Congress who has had these big wins. The American Rescue Plan has already given the city of Miami $138 million that we got zero from CARES Act under Trump. We got $138 million under Biden, and I've already deployed it for septic to sewer conversion, affordable housing land acquisition, and actually helping general employees survive COVID through hazard pay. Thank you to the federal government. But even with all these wins, the federal government cannot help us here in Florida next year during this cycle. We are going to have to do this on our own. As we saw in Virginia, the tighter a candidate is tied to Washington right now, it's not helping. We need to do this on our own, and that means we're going to need all of you. I am running against Marco Rubio for the United States Senate because he has done nothing for this state. He doesn't even serve coffee as well as I do. Nothing. Everything we care about, he's on the opposite side of it. So I'm in the middle of a 67-county tour. You can call me Walking Ken. And I am going to visit every single county at least twice. And we just finished raising $1 million for my campaign. Thank you for all of you who have helped and who made. And so I will see you on the trail, and I'll pass the mic to your governor candidates. And thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, I've been given word that we want to expedite the program. Lauren, I'm going to have you go after, but the next speaker is our former governor, current member of Congress from the St. Pete area. I served in the legislature with him when he was governor, and one of the things I remember most was, you remember when there were election issues in Miami-Dade County, and there were huge lines, there were machines that went askew, and the Miami-Dade County, that area is a very blue county, and the governor at the time was in a different party, and when there were these long lines that stretched out for miles, really, and there were election problems. If this were today, do you think the current governor would say, let's extend the hours to allow more voters from Miami-Dade County to have the opportunity to vote? He did that then. He extended the hours, and he did. And many people thought that changed the election. But he didn't do it because it was to favor one part or the other. It was because it was the right thing to do. And unfortunately, too many people in Tallahassee who run our government right now have been working harder to suppress the vote than to allow democracy to flourish. Because they know by suppressing the vote, that's the only way they can get elected and stay in power. So with that, I just want to remind you of what used to be when we used to have people who were the governor who cared about democracy and allowing people to vote regardless of party affiliation. And with that, I want to bring up my friend, Congressman Charlie Crist.
Dave, thank you for your kind introduction. He's a great man and a great friend and an amazing state attorney. Please give Dave Aronberg a round of applause. Wonderful. Wonderful. Nikki, it's good to see you. Good to be with you last night in Orlando. Thank you for having us today. It's certainly a pleasure to be here, Senator. It's great to see you. I talked about you in my speech last night in Orlando. We had, Florida Blue, or whatever you want to call it, turn Florida Blue. That's what we want to do in 22. But I had the opportunity to give a shout out to Senator Polsky about her standing up to the Surgeon General. Very impressive, very courageous. Best to you, of course. And, the only thing she asked for when the Surgeon General came to her office, because the Surgeon General has to be confirmed by the state Senate. I knew that because my first office was state Senate. And she merely asked that you put a mask on. Has some health issues that she's dealing with very well, thank God. But, the guy wouldn't even do that. It's unconscionable, the kind of people that are in the administration of Governor Ron, or Governor Wrong, as I call him. And, they say the head rots, or the fish rots from the head. Well, that's what this administration's like. And we deserve better. You deserve better. We all deserve better. We deserve to have a governor who actually cares about you instead of their own political ambition. Because I have come to the conclusion the only thing that explains what Ron is doing every single day is that he's not caring about Floridians. He's caring about his own political future and what he thinks is his opportunity to be president of the United States, and he knows what he has to do to get there is appeal to the far right and the Trumpsters. He's mini Trump. I mean, that's what this guy is. I mean, he wants to take away our right to vote. He wants to take away your right to choose if you're a woman. You know, he wants to take away our opportunity to have quality public education. I mean, one thing after another after another. It's unbelievable. And I'm, you know, with Lois, I'm in a pretty comfortable seat in Washington. Honored to serve you in the United States Congress, and we have gotten some stuff done. God bless you, Lois, for giving a shout out to that. Really, she's great. Lois and I have known each other a while, haven't we? Yeah, we have. But it's been a great friendship and a great experience, and it's an honor to serve with your member of Congress in the United States House. She's great. She's tremendous. But this race for governor is very important. You know as well as I do. We all live through it every single day. And, you know, I think the worst thing that Governor DeSantis has done is how he's treated the pandemic. So let's go back about a year, right? We finally get a vaccine, which in itself was a miracle. And thank God, my dad's a doctor. My sister is a doctor. So I know a little bit about this. And my dad told me that ordinarily for a vaccine to be developed, it takes about 4 or 5 years. And we got that one in less than a year, right? And so the vaccine comes out, they're distributed to governors all around the country, and they have the opportunity to distribute them to some degree in what they wish. Charles, by the way, how long am I supposed to talk? I don't want to overextend. You're the president, right? Mr. President, I caught you in the middle of a bite, it's all right. 10, okay, so about 5. At any rate, so we get the vaccines. And what does Ron do? He starts to go to communities around the state that are kind of interesting for a reason. You ever heard of Ocean Reef? You know, in Key Largo? Or Lakewood Ranch up where I am in the Tampa Bay area? Or the Villages? I'm sure you've heard of that. So he takes about 3,000 vaccines with him and calls them pop-ups where he goes. Pop-ups. And so let's start with Ocean Reef. So Ocean Reef is a very nice community. And it's mostly white, it's mostly Republican, and it's mostly wealthy. Right? Then he comes to Lakewood Ranch up in Bradenton. It's mostly white, it's mostly Republican, and it's mostly wealthy. And the same with the Villages. Maybe not as wealthy as the other two. But nobody's heard it, right? So he gets some contributions from people that live in these 3 places, and probably more around the state. And he takes 3,000 vaccines with him, Senator. And so when he goes to Ocean Reef, he gives people this vaccine, and he gets contributions. Now that's a hell of a fundraiser, isn't it? Get the opportunity to have your life saved and contribute to your governor's campaign. That's sick. It really is. And the notion, then he goes to Lakewood Ranch in Bradenton, does the same thing in the Villages, and as I said, probably other places around Florida. And the saddest part of the story is that's only one side of that coin. The other side of that coin is where he's not going. He didn't go to inner city Miami or Ocean Reef. He didn't go to inner city Sarasota near Lakewood Ranch. And so what are you doing? You're discriminating. Life and death decision. And he's discriminating about who gets it first. You know, you talk about pay to play, it's pay to live. That's the kind of character this guy has. It's no better than that. And I'm running against him because I love Florida. And it breaks my heart to see a governor of our beautiful state that comports himself like that. It's disrespectful at best. But I'm a hopeful guy. You know, I want to make sure that everybody gets the right to vote. You know, he's making it harder. He signs a bill not far from here. Last spring, you know about this, Senator, because you voted against it, God bless you. It's going to make it harder to use mail-in ballots. He's not going to have as many drop-off places in minority parts and minority communities of our state. And the irony of that is, after the last election, last November, he was bragging what a great election we had. And then he rushes to the legislative session and says, you know, let's do a bill to fix the problems we didn't have. I mean, it's weird. Unless you're trying to get the vote of the hard-right Republican base. That's all he's doing. He is more concerned about Iowa voters than he is Florida people. And that's wrong. Yeah, that's right. And you know, I'm old-fashioned. And I believe in public service, obviously. I served as a state senator, your commissioner of education, the attorney general of our state, your governor, and now a member of Congress with Lois. And I believe in public service, but I believe there's a certain way that you should be a public servant. Important word. And serve with a servant's heart. So let me finish by what I think it really all boils down to here. I wear these yellow wristbands every day. And it talks about a rule that I learned from my mother and father that they taught me and my 3 sisters. It said, be decent to people. Respect people. Listen to others. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, Charlie. Respect is ratio. Listen twice as much as you talk. And so I try to live by that. And they called it the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. And the wristband just says practice the golden rule every day. Our governor, I don't think ever heard of it. Because he never acts like it. And you deserve better. And that's why I'm running for governor. It's pretty simple. I want to protect our environment. I want to fight for education. I want to make sure no matter what the color of your skin, or the language you speak, or the country you come from, you're treated equally. That a woman's right to choose is respected. It's a campaign about decency. We deserve a decent government. And somebody who truly cares about you and your life and your children and your future. And this beautiful, beautiful place we all call home. So I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your help. We're going to have a good primary. We have great candidates. Thank God. Right? We're blessed. Thank you. Have a great summer.
Okay, there's a request for questions.
First, I have the first question.
Okay. He asked me to take 5 minutes of questions, and of course the president has the first one.
Here, why don't you use the mic? My biggest concern is that if we get DeSantis as governor, we've got millions of dollars flowing into Florida out of the Build Back Better and the other programs. What do you think he's going to do with it? He's going to build highways to nowhere, or he won't take the money. We're going to have another Medicaid debacle. You know, I come from Michigan, and Florida didn't take the Medicaid. I said, fine, it's just more for Michigan. So I think this is something that's very important.
You're absolutely right, and he's already proven that he doesn't respect the dollars we send here. Just ask Lois, or ask Tina. What has happened is we've sent a bunch of money already for education, and he's holding back. I mean, this guy is so bad. I mean, every question begs more information about him, and you deserve to be informed. But he said about school districts that if you defy my executive order that essentially says you can't have any masks in school, that he's going to cut the salaries of our school board members and superintendents. And he did it. Dave's right. You know, he talked about how these people in Tallahassee talk about socialism and authoritarianism. They're the ones doing it. I'll give you one example. That responds to your question in a certain way, Charles, and it's personal. And it's about the mask issue and his executive order to not have it in classrooms. I have a 5-year-old niece. She just started school for the first time this year, back in late August, in Pinellas County, where I live. And my county, where I live, did not do what yours did not defy the governor's executive order. So my 5-year-old niece goes to school the first day, and nobody is wearing a mask. And we're in the height of the summer surge, right? 2 days later, she contracts COVID, 5 years old. She goes home at night. She has a 2-month-old sister, little baby. A few days after that, she contracts COVID. This governor's decisions have consequences. This is not a joke, and this is not a funny campaign. Although I'm having fun in the campaign, because I'm happy with it. But what we're trying to get out is something awful. Awful. Another question?
One more?
one more question?
Yes, ma'am.
Governor DeSantis is trying to have his own militia. And how he could come with his group and he could be, invalidate the next election and put us basically under martial law. And I'm very concerned about that happening in this country.
Well, you should be. It's a great question. And I heard this report the other day, and I think the news release that the governor was going to have some kind of a press conference out in Pensacola was about supporting the National Guard. Well, then he slips in to the fact that he wants to have his own state militia under his direct charge. There was a reason for that at one point in time in history. It was during World War II. Florida actually established a state police, if you want to call it that, in 1941, but they abolished it as soon as the war was over. And he wants to bring it back. Again, it leads to the point that this is an authoritarian, whatever you want to call it. I'm a nice man, I'm Frankel. It's awful. Great point, you're absolutely right. That's why we can't run away. I got to leave, I got another meeting. Nikki's bad, and best luck to Nikki, and thank you.
Thank you, Carol Crist. Lauren Levy, come on up. We're going to give you just a short break, then we're going to go. Then we're going to go to Nikki. But ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Levy is running for State House in District 89. She is running in a seat that currently is held by a Republican. Lauren, come on up and tell us why we need to support you.
Thank you so much. Hello, can everyone hear me? Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Boca Delray Democrat, for this awesome luncheon. This is definitely a success. Thank you to all the elected officials that are here. Thank you, Linda Rosenthal, who did a great job putting this event together. I am running against Mike Caruso in District 89. Thank you. Thank you. So far, I'm the only Democratic challenger. I am an immigration attorney by trade, so I have never been in politics. This is my first time running. And I honestly got sick and tired of the way that this state was mishandling COVID. I mean, that's something that's personal to me. I am a first-generation American, daughter of immigrants from Jamaica. I have lived, I've had my mom, I've had my grandmother, who I've been in close contact with throughout most of my life since I was 13 years old. She, when she got the vaccine, had some symptoms. I've done everything in my power to be careful, wearing masks, getting my vaccines, and it just sickens me the way that this governor, the way that his cronies in the Florida House have just done everything they can to fight against mask mandates in public schools. They've done everything they can to stop employers from having their employees get masks and vaccines. And it's just something that I have said enough is enough. Once I learned that our state legislature was filing basically to have women's rights restricted with reproductive access, that was something that I definitely decided enough is enough. I'm going to run. I'm a woman. I'm a woman of color. This is an issue that affects me personally. And, when I saw everything that was happening where they were trying to restrict our access to the ballots, with banning mail-in voting, I said, what is going on? This is not the Florida that I grew up in. I grew up in South Florida. I went to Miami Sunset Senior High School, went to the University of Florida, go Gators, there are Gators in the house. And, I graduated from University of Florida Law School. And I set out to have a career that was going to help my community, that was going to help my state, and that is what I see as the next prong in me running. I'm not running because, I am trying to stuff my pockets. I am running because I want to be a public servant. I had a niece who went to high school the day that the Parkland shooting happened. Thank God she was sick that day and she actually wasn't in school that day. But, that issue of gun reform became very near and very personal for me. And of course, I believe in the Second Amendment, but I definitely think we need to ban bump stocks. We need to ban high-capacity magazines, things that should not be for self-defense in this country. I very much believe in our education system here in Florida. it was one of the best at one time, and now it's becoming one of the worst. One of the issues that is dear to my heart is the fact that when it comes to teaching history in the classroom is being restricted. Republicans are wanting to confuse the issue of critical race theory, which is something that is taught in law school. It's not taught in the public schools K-12 system. Basically, they are trying to ban any reference to the history of the United States as having problems with racism, so they're not teaching an accurate portrayal of history. And that is something that we cannot just neglect. We cannot teach our children a skewed version of history and control what they're being taught in our public schools. We should not be diverting money away from our public schools for for-profit charter schools. So, those are all of the reasons that I am running. I believe that as a Democratic Party, everyone here who's in this room is committed to the cause. We are committed Democrats. We are here to support our party. But in 2022, we need to be making sure all of our relatives, all of our friends are registered to vote. We need to be asking ourselves, what is it, why are we losing ground in Florida as a Democratic Party? We have so much disinformation to combat in our states. That Democrats, we're socialists, we're communists, all these things. There's a lot of disinformation. But we also need to get our friends and our family out there, make sure they're registered to vote. We have a history sometimes of not showing up in midterm elections, but this midterm election is crucial. 2020 was about getting Trump out of power. 2022 is making sure that Biden has people in both Congress and the state legislators who can fulfill basically what it is that he's wanting to bring about. And thank you so much. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Levy. Let's get down. All right. It's my pleasure now to introduce a friend of mine who comes from South Florida, who is the only Democrat elected statewide in Florida, and the first ever woman to be the Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services. She is known for standing up to Governor DeSantis when it comes to voting rights, when it comes to all of his, I'm going to use a technical legal term, Michigas, when it comes to, that's a Latin term for craziness, it's in the law. When it comes to all the COVID responses he has, like bringing on Dr. Scott Atlas or this guy from California who's anti-science and anti-mask, she has also promoted more liberalization of our state's marijuana laws. And there's one area, though, where she's gotten a ton of criticism, and that is by Marion Hammer, the head of the NRA, who has called her the most anti-gun Commissioner of Agriculture in the history of Florida. The NRA doesn't like it that she has been fighting them on the preemption law that says that local governments are not allowed to enact gun safety measures. She's been fighting that for years now. They don't like it that she took the NRA out of the concealed weapons permit process. They used to control it. And so they are her biggest enemy. And I just want to read you a response she put on Twitter. This is her own words. I have a message for the NRA. Your control over concealed weapons permits is finished. As Commissioner of Agriculture, I won't be beholden to you, but to the people of Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, our Commissioner of Agriculture, Nikki Green.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is such an honor to be here today, to be home. I have now lived in Tallahassee for 3 years, but I miss being home here in South Florida. Born and raised in Miami, but my entire family lives here in Palm Beach County. Lois, my grandmother, calls me anymore, tells me how much she loves you. I think she might love you more than she loves me as an elected official. But grandma's in Delray, mom's in Boynton Beach, sister is in Wellington, so Palm Beach County is certainly home. You know, when I decided to run for office in 2018, thanks to Dave Aronberg, who convinced me to run for Commissioner of Agriculture, you know, I got a lot of, what is a good Jewish girl from Miami doing running for Commissioner of Agriculture? And my response was very simple. When I was brought up down here, my family taught me some very core values. One, when you see an injustice in society, you stand up against it. And two, tikkun olam, to heal the world. So every single day that I am up in Tallahassee, I lead with those core principles. That every single day when I am seeing what this administration has done to our state, I am the one who's in the arena every single day fighting against him. Whether it was even before COVID, trying to take power away from the department's responsibilities, whether it was the implementation of the restoration of civil rights that we all voted for, that he did everything he could to make it harder for people to vote. And then came COVID. Not only did he was derelict in his responsibilities, he became absent. So we had to stand up and be honest and be transparent with the people of our state, to explain to them what is happening, giving them updated information. Time and time again, we have seen this administration not care about the people of our state. And time again, I have stood up against him. We have a running joke inside my office that if you look at a cabinet meeting ever, and we might be in a conversation and a dialogue, and the second that I start to talk, his mannerisms start to change. He gets this very awkward twitch. There's nobody that gets under his skin like I do, and I wear that as a badge of honor. But we as a party have a decision to make, because this is going to be the most important election of our lifetimes. And I know we have been hearing that for every election, we say that over and over again. But this one truly is. Because if we don't find a way to take back our state, 25 straight years of one-party control, we are going to put somebody back into power that we know is running for president, that is going to do everything he can to stay in power, to get himself up to the White House. Now, I hadn't made a decision of whether or not I was going to run for governor. I love being commissioner. I love everything that I do every single day, fighting for our farmers, fighting for our consumers, making sure that we have good water quality, that we kick the NRA out of my office, that we legalize hemp in our state, which brought 25,000 acres under grow, 10,000 new jobs, $380 million in economic benefits already in year one of our program. But I knew that if I sat back and was complicit and not running against him, that I'm almost approving of the work that he has done. And so when I sat back and I talked to my family about running for governor, we had some really hard conversations. Because the amount of time away from family, my mother is very upset I've not been able to spend a single night of Hanukkah with her. But those are sacrifices that we as elected officials make, because we understand what is important and what is hard. And we understand that if we don't do this, that if we don't stand up for what is right, that if we don't put our best foot forward, you know who loses? You lose. The people of our state lose. The people that have come to our country fighting for democracy. And the Republican Party use their experiences as political ploys and tools in their own shed in order to gain votes and access. If we don't increase democracy in our state, how can we fight for democracy and human rights in other parts of the world? So I knew I had to run. I knew I had to stand up. But we as a party have to do things differently. We've got to organize differently. We've got to talk about issues differently. And we have to fight. It is no longer okay for us just to talk about issues. We have to fight for what we believe in. And that is what I have done every single day as commissioner. Fighting for the beliefs, fighting for the things that we as Democrats hold true. Now I stand here as the same girl that I was back in elementary school, middle school, and high school, when I was doing soup kitchens every single weekend with my B'nai B'rith youth organization, when I was doing Habitat for Humanity, when I was doing gay pride and civil rights parades back in high school. That's the same person you see here in front of you today, fighting for those same issues, standing up for what is right. I know we can beat Ron DeSantis. I know we can, but we gotta be doing this differently. And I tell these stories on a pretty consistent basis. After 2018 primary, there was never a time when we sat down, myself and Andrew and the congressional delegation and the party and our Senate victory and House victory, and sat down in a room and said, all right, here's the map of Florida. Where is everybody strong and weak? Where are all of our resources? How do we support each other? Those conversations never happen. How are we going to win a state when we have resources all over the place and not a message and not an organization's skills? You know, when I was running, I had 3 W's. That it was very easy to go onto my platform. Weed, water, and weapons. And so they called me the Queen of Green. And so as I traveled the state talking about the expansion and access to medical marijuana, and I was also a triple gator for any of my gators in the room. I know I had a few. Was undergrad master's in law, was student body president my last year, first female to have been student body president in an 18-year span, and was back as a public defender in Alachua County, was a member of the University of Florida Board of Trustees, and Andrew had a big pep rally on campus. I wasn't invited. Which doesn't make any sense. As the only female on the ticket, as the only individual who's talking about cannabis, as past student body president. But that shows you that we as a party weren't coordinating, weren't talking to each other. And I can't tell you how many times during that campaign I heard, don't worry, Nikki, the top of the ticket wins, so do you. We've got to be thinking differently. We got to support our grassroots organizations. We got to support our candidates from the bottom up. We have so many great House candidates in here. We have so many great senators, and so many that can't afford to get on TV. So why are we not doing commercials together, supporting all of us? Because the bottom of the ticket wins, the top of the ticket wins. And then we build a bench, and we build more warriors in Tallahassee. That's how we're gonna win. A unified message, a fighter, somebody who is going to organize and excite our base and talk to independents and to moderate Republicans. There are still those out there, I promise you. Ron has radicalized his party. The Republicans want their party back. So we gotta kick him out and bring them into our fold and give them an opportunity to vote for us. But most importantly, it's not just about them. We have to give them a reason to vote for us and to give them hope and a new vision of what our state could look like as the first female governor of our state. As the first Jewish female governor of our state. And only the second Jewish governor. I think the last one was like 1920. You know these records much better than I. 1920, 1940.
David, you lead.
Right in those time periods? I know you know the history. But it's time to do something new. It's time to break a system that is rigged against the people. For 25 plus years, we have all voted for constitutional amendments to move our state forward. Whether it is dock stamp money to buy more land for our state, whether it's using lottery dollars for our education system, whether it's restoration of civil rights, it's class size, it's medical marijuana, and it gets to Tallahassee and it gets completely dismantled. So we've got to send better people to Tallahassee, and we've got to send people up there that are going to respect the vote of the people. I know we can do this. I know that with the right vision, with the right message, and with the right teams and organizing, that we can get this done. You know, when I also analyzed the 2018 elections, we lost 6 to 8% of the Jewish vote to Ron DeSantis. Do you know how many votes that equates to? 34,000 votes. Do you know how many votes he won by? 34,000 votes. So we have an opportunity to get those votes back and more. And that's how we're going to win. So I'm going to ask for your support. I'm going to ask for your vote. And most importantly, I'm going to ask you to mobilize and to organize and to be out there. We can do this. I have faith in the Democratic Party. I have faith in Palm Beach County. I have faith in Boca and Delray that you are going to do what we always do, turn out and make sure that we bring this home for all of us. So, thank you.
If Nikki wants to take a couple questions, we have time for 2. Up to you, Commissioner.
All right. I also wanted to end with one also really fun story.
Yeah, I have a question.
So I also wanted to really also say something else that a lot of you probably were on election night 2018. You know, Dawson tells you about who I am as a person. 2018, it's around 9:30, and Broward County had uploaded all of their votes into the system. And I was down 44,000 votes. And the pundits had gone on to TV, had declared that I had lost. My opponent went on TV, declared that they won. But I knew better. I knew that we'd already triggered the recount. I knew that those numbers didn't seem right. And so I went downstairs to my watch party, and I said, we are not done fighting. We will not concede. And so we went back to the room, we did not sleep, and we made sure that we were putting together a fight, that every vote was going to be counted, and it was. And so at the end of a very long 2 weeks, I won by 6,753 votes. I cannot thank you all enough. The Democratic Party went out and cured ballots. They went out and made sure that those votes were counted. And the support that I got during those 2 weeks made sure that I kept fighting. It wasn't about me. It was about you. Because I knew all the promises that the ticket had given to the people of our state. And if we had given up, if I had conceded, you wouldn't have a Democratic member of the cabinet who every single day takes on those challenges of our state and shows the people of our state a different way to lead and how we're going to lead, and showing that we can fight and we can fight together. So Democrats, again, you stood by me in 2018. I'm going to ask you to stand by me again. So.
Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it. We're running past our scheduled time.
Sorry.
And I want to call Sarah up to Okay.
Yeah, can I call mine? Well, thank you. Yesterday, early in the morning, Florida State then senior caucus presented a Zoom meeting to present 3 gubernatorial candidates of Florida. So I, completely forgot it began at 9. I didn't come up until 10, 15, 20. I missed the very first candidate. Second candidate was Charlie Crist. Then third candidate is our Secretary of Agriculture, Nikki Free. She made a pretty good presentation, but toward the end, I was, if I may say it, I was appalled to hear what you have to say. You said all the white males candidate is not going to work out well. Look at Virginia. You've got Virginia governorship. I thought that was very rude. Our president, Biden, is an older white male. Without him, you will not be here, applying for governorship. I think you owe an apology to voters like us. I'm not kidding. Older white men applying for the Florida governorship is not going to work. Look at what happened to Virginia. I know Virginia case very well. I have my relative who lived there. It's not, it was older white man.
Okay, Commissioner, you want to?
Absolutely.
And this will be our last question.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sorry that you got offended by that, but I stand behind it. 100%. We have to learn from what happened in Virginia. And we have to learn that most importantly, we've got to do something different here in Florida. And that we have to understand that we are up against. And so that we do have to try something new. And I firmly believe that we have to learn from the lessons that we saw in Virginia. And we have to learn that we cannot take those chances. That too much is on the line for us not to look at things from a different perspective of who has already been in the arena fighting every single day. That we have to have a new vision, that it is time for the next generation to come up and to lead with passion. And so I do firmly believe that we have to learn lessons because there's too much on the line for us not to learn from what just happened. And I am so grateful that President Biden is in the administration. He is President of the United States. And I'm so grateful to our members of Congress who every single day are fighting for us. But we in Florida have to get this right. And this is our last stance if we don't win now.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we have to move on. We have this room until 2, so they're ready to kick us out. But before we go, we have something really important because we have someone to honor. And for that, I'd like to bring up Susan Booker, who's going to take it from here. We've got a special presentation.
Good afternoon, Democrats. Isn't it so good that we can get into this room and get together, mask or not? I know that everybody here is double vaccinated and boosted, right? Okay, awesome. Well, it's my honor to have been the past recipient of the Myra Golden Activist of the Year Award. And that's the last time we were able to get together like this. And this year, it is my very distinct honor to be able to honor somebody that I have a lot of respect for, somebody that has worked really hard in a territory that used to be a very strong Republican stronghold. You know, we talked about if you win St. Andrews, we never used to win St. Andrews, you could flip the Boca City Council. Well, guess what? There's one person that was very determined, and she kept telling me that she could do it. And you know what? You guys helped her, and she did. Not only was she heavily involved in politics, she was always on my phone when I was the supervisor, because she was ready to get the last vote out, the last affidavit, the last absentee ballot, whatever it was. She was at early voting every single day. She helped me get elected. She helped David get elected. She helped a lot of us. And you know, while she was doing that, she was a teacher. She taught special ed. She taught Title I kids. She had a family. She was a single mom. And today I really don't even recognize her maybe because she walked right by me with some glasses and this wig, and she didn't say anything. Once she talks, we all know her. And you know, she's kind of like me. We get along well because we're pushy women, and we're going to get it done. And so it is my honor today to be able to say that the Activist of the Year Award goes to Mindy Coates, Dr. Mindy Coates. There's one other person that wants to talk about you before you come up Congratulations, Mindy, I love you.
Thank you. Real quick, I know we're running late. I just want to say I'm so proud to know you, to represent you. Mindy was my very first opponent in my state house race. You made me a better candidate. We did a great debate with Fred. I learned everything through that race. I had never been involved in politics before. And I always appreciated, and especially now, your activism. And I congratulate you on this honor. And I look forward to working with you many years to come in turning Florida blue. So congratulations. And thank you.
So here's the award. It's in here somewhere, but nobody seems to know where because we're Democrats. I'm just saying. Listen, you guys, I have to say that in the background, hidden away, is where I really do my best work. This is so unfamiliar to me that I can't even express to you how humble I am to be receiving the Myra Golden Award. It really means a great deal to me. She was a retired teacher and great activist here in Boca Raton. And it's wonderful to be able to emulate and follow in the footsteps of Myra Golden. So to go along with all these candidates, I'm glad too I'm a Democrat because we don't believe in QAnon. And we're not in Dealey Plaza, down in Dallas, waiting for the reincarnation of JFK and his son JFK Jr. However, wouldn't that be lovely? Do they have any idea who these guys are? I'm not sure they do. To them I say, bring it on. I'm glad I have a Democrat because you guys, we have the most wonderful Democratic representation in the nation, don't you think? Yes, they are. They're the most wonderful. And the greatest candidates. Look at all the people, the potential. You guys, too bad I can't vote in '89 because I voted 3 times. It's Florida. I'm glad to be a Democrat because I have met so many people like all of you. And I call many of you my friends. And that's a great treasure for me because, you know, friendship is not something that comes easily to most people, especially here in this great state of Florida. I'm glad I'm a Democrat because I can pass that tradition on to my children, my grandchildren, who are my most ardent supporters, and the best family on earth. And I'm proud to be a Democrat because together, we can do anything. Thank you again to the Boca Delray Board, for honoring me with this award. Now I have to live up to the legacy of Myra Golden. As we activists together turn Florida bright blue in 22. Thank you guys so very much.
Mindy, you're awesome. Are you ready to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to Morning Joe tomorrow? Of course. All right.
I'll be right there with you.
It's 6 a.m. tomorrow, by the way.
Yes,
So,
6
yeah.
a.m. Yes, who's there first?
But I was told that we actually will not be kicked out of the room. We have the room until 3, but it doesn't mean we have to keep you here any longer than necessary. So, Linda, is there any final words that you'd like to make? I think we may have a message from Terry Rizzo that Linda would like to tell you, and then we can release you to enjoy the wonderful day. So, Linda, come on up, Linda Rosenthal, for a final word.
Okay, forgive me, I'm going to have to read this 1 second. This is a message from Terry Rizzo
the chair of the Palm Beach County Democratic Party. Everyone knows that timing is everything in life, and unfortunately, our state party decided to have their Leadership Blue dinner have their Leadership Blue event this weekend. So there were people who could not be here because they were going to be up in Orlando, unlike our own Dr. Koch, who went up to Orlando yesterday and came back the same time because she is so dedicated to the club. But here is Terry Rizzo's message. Dear officers and members of the Democratic Club of Boca Delray Beach, on behalf of the Palm Beach County Democratic Party, official congratulations on your 14th annual luncheon, and congratulations also to the vice chair of the party, our own Levy, for being recognized with the Myra Golden Award. We are so sorry we cannot be there in person with you today, as we were all required to be in Orlando for the rescheduled Leadership Blue meetings. Otherwise, we would not have missed being with you to celebrate today. We know it will be a terrific event as always. And the Palm Beach County Democratic Party thanks Congressman Charlie Crist and Commissioner Nikki Freed and all the elected officials and for celebrating with you today. We look forward to working with you this coming year to turn Florida blue in 22. One more thing I would like to do, Kathy, please. Dave, on behalf of the board of the Palm Beach County, of the Boca Delray Democratic Club, we thank you so much for all you have done to make this so great.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Charles, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you, Democrats. Enjoy the day, and let's turn Florida blue.